If it's a symbiotic relationship between your classes and your business, I think that's the easiest way to thrive.
I have always wanted to start my own apparel company, so why not take the jump now while I have so many of the school's resources to do so? So at HBS, I'm part of a lot of their incubation programs and accelerated programs, et cetera.
Usually the only woman of color in a lot of the spaces that I've worked in. So I wanted to kind of be that friend to give career advice to people that may not have like super strong professional networks. So when I started doing that, I gained a pretty big following on LinkedIn. And that signaled to me that there's obviously a need for modern day career coaching. And then more people started to ask to work with me one-on-one. So that's why I decided to start Hey Lizzie-Ann back in 2018.
As I got into business school, I did a pre-MBA internship at a venture capital fund, which kind of jump-started my entrepreneurial curiosity, if you will. And that got me interested in a lot of startups. And while I don't really consider myself a full-fledged entrepreneur, I like to think that I'm more intrapreneurial and have found ways to infuse that curiosity in all these little things that I do. And so I continue to do career coaching and I continue to teach my Bollywood dance classes, and kind of like Lacey said, found ways through, my venture capital learnings or through my classes to expand or, kind of experiment with those different things that I do, and have loved where that journey has taken me.
I had a friend who was also a business owner just tell me that you're never going to feel 100% ready. At some point, you just have to just start and then iterate with customer feedback. So that's really kind of the breaking point for me, was feeling like, okay, I know that my website, my offerings are going to change with more feedback. It might be different in a month, but I won't even get to that point unless I just start. So it was just a little nudge from a friend to kind of get started.
I'd moved to Los Angeles. I was kind of new to the space. I know there was already a lot of dance classes offered and around. I just wasn't finding that safe space and that community that I craved. So I just I didn't even know how to make a dance resume. I figured out how to make one, Googled it, and just cold emailed a bunch of studios near me with it. And I was like, hey, I have these credentials. I would love to teach XYZ class or start as a substitute. And luckily one studio reached out and said they would be willing to train me or audition me as a substitute. And then all of that kind of led to me getting my own class time. And then it took me a long time before I decided I wanted to actually make a brand out of it and make it my own. As I was starting to build my startup a bit more, I realized, and people constantly ask me, like, are you going to raise VC money? Are you going to just go to angel investors and all this stuff? And I was just like holding this near and dear to my heart. And I was like, I want to hold on to the fun. Like, I grew up when I was 16, I designed collections and I just like had fun sewing and like putting it out there in the world and seeing if people liked it. And I kind of want to hold on to that a little bit longer, where like, I don't want an investor to come in and expect me to grow this to a $200 million business overnight. Right. And I fashion is like something I'm incredibly passionate about. And I love the creativity and love the exploration and the branding of all that. But like, I can't imagine having an investor tell me what to do. I definitely felt like these 2 years were like my own classroom, in the sense that my side hustles blend with the MBA academic experience to both be a really good teaching experience. And so I think for me, part of that has been wanting to maintain those. Part of the reason I wanted to maintain those side hustles was because I feel like they teach me so much that I'm then able to take back into the classroom. And business school is important for me to find like the people in my life that I could go to for anything, like whether it be personal, career, or even like just community based. One of my professors actually found my manufacturer. Like, you just never know where your connections can lead to. And then like my friends help me kind of stay centered and stay grounded to think about like and they also help me think about all my Exora ideas. When I think about marketing strategies and plan, like I'll get on the phone and brainstorm with them.
One of the most important lessons I've learned is product differentiation. And it sounds so obvious. So when I started Hey Lizzie-Ann, I was a career coach for everyone and anyone. Like, if you're early career, if you're an executive, like, yeah, I'll help you with your resume. But being everything to everyone means that your product isn't unique. And it doesn't really have much of a purpose. So it took a lot of kind of like brainstorming within like marketing and strategy classes to understand like what really makes my business different. And that was the main reason why I pivoted to do early career coaching for women and who identify as minority in tech. Although it's making my market a lot more narrow, the people that I attract are going to be way more invested in the work that I do. So the community will be smaller.
One of the biggest things that I've learned though throughout all of this is just the power of having good one-on-one conversations with people and getting that feedback. And I think once you learn really how to craft a good, I guess, technically like a user interview, I think those conversations can be really powerful in driving that direction for you because you really learn, how people think, and that's different than how they act. And how do you blend all of those things together to then decide what your next step is going to be?
Pivoting is okay. Like it's okay to constantly be switching around. You're not stuck to this idea for the rest of your life. If you switch on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, it's totally fine. Whatever you can need to do to stay alive. I think that's was an incredibly important lesson that I learned.
I like having both a virtual and a physical. Like I literally have my planner right here next to me. I just like having lines where I can make myself little check boxes and write down everything I have. I kind of like categorize, right in this phase of my life, like academic and then non-academic. And that's how I write out my lists of things. I literally have a page per day.
Everyone wants career help, but not everyone is like a serious like potential client. So having a free resource page has been helpful in terms of directing people to that. So I can at least offer some, free guidance, but then also kind of prioritize the people who really do want paid services or products.
I block out time on my calendar for whatever I need to do, whether it be exercising, whether it be like having dinner, even with my boyfriend, like things like that needs to be put on my calendar. Otherwise, like it'll go by the wayside and I'll completely forget. And it's just also important for your own mental health, right? Like I have to put in the exercise time or else I won't have another second of the day just to myself where I can focus on me. So I think it's super important to set those boundaries, whatever works for you.
I will usually reply to people who give me like a coffee chat request or a one-off that with something like, I'm really busy right this moment, but I would love to talk about XYZ. Can we circle back on this next month or in 3 weeks? And obviously that's like usually fine, but then it really shows who's interested in speaking with you and has a specific agenda because only those people will follow back up 3 weeks or a month later. Everyone else will kind of just disappear. So it's a great schedule clear. So that's like my one little life hack, I guess, that's really been helpful. This was the case also with applying to business school. I mean, I think for those still considering it, people underestimate how much you will lean on your family or on your significant other and all these things to help push you through that time.
For me, it's just this concept of grace. I'm like a crazy planner. Like when I was a kid, my favorite place to go to was Office Depot because they had the paper planners. Like I'm like not normal in that sense. And so like every year for New Year's, I like have this like detailed vision of like what my year is going to look like on a month by month basis. Like I plan everything to the core. And so 2020 was a huge wake up call because it was like, okay, February, things are going as planned. Okay, next month I'll make it up in March. March is it's not getting there. And it's just kind of like this self comparison of like the Lizzie that I planned for in 2020 and then the Lizzie I actually am, and just understanding that there is a difference between those two, but it's not my lack of effort or anything like that. A lot of it's environmental. So giving myself grace in that. And it's easier said than done. I feel like I have to do that on a daily basis because I just had certain goals, even in business school, on like what the program was going to look like for me. And that's not happening. But I can't like blame myself for that. I really have to be patient and give myself grace and the plans that I have and like what I'm able to achieve.
I just focus on what I can control, which is like my health, my happiness, my time with my partner, my ability to like, I say exercise. I'm not that big of a gym rat, I promise, but like exercise, like have like drink wine with like my friends, things like that. Those are within my control. Like, and I just, like I said, I literally focus on the day to day and I don't even think about May yet. I'm not even thinking about graduation. Like I know it's going to be online. I don't want to like think about how disappointing it's going to be because that's out of my control. I can only focus on today and that's it.